Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I got to go to an automotive swap meet. Most of you know I'm a swap meet junkie. I'm addicted. That is my addiction. I love going to swap meets, and I set up down there. I didn't buy much, hardly at all. I did manage to sell a little bit of stuff. I'm slowly trying to thin some stuff out. The trouble of it is, even though I didn't buy a lot, the stuff that I bought was big. So it was quite a challenge to get everything loaded into my pickup. For instance, I bought several pieces for a Honda CB900. I bought all four carburetors. I bought the side panels. I bought the gas tank. And I bought the fairing. Well, the fairing, doesn't want to go in my back seat, et cetera, et cetera. I bought a short block, small block Chevy short block. And, just this and that and the other. It was a good thing that I sold a good bit of stuff because that eliminated the need, to bring that stuff back. And then I bought a bunch of stuff for a Ford 390. Well, that all takes up a bunch of room. And so I was pressed. It took all my packing skills to get everything all packed in there. But I had a really, really great time. The weather was awesome. And like I said, I just absolutely love going to swap meets. I'm currently working on a couple of different vehicles. Some of you have asked me to post pictures at different times, and I never have done that. But I'm currently working on my 69 Mach 1 428 Cobra Jet car. And let me see, is that here on my shelf? No, that's in my other office. That's in my main office. But anyway, I'm making a little bit of progress on that. I have a 66 Mustang Coupe, beautiful, beautiful little car that I'm going to be having for sale here before very long. And, I just got this and I've got that. And all of them are parts hungry. So that's why I go to the swap meets. All right, we're back at it. And let me say again how much I appreciate you being with me. And I'm going to do my best with my voice. It is still awfully weak. I still go into coughing when I talk very long. And of course, at a swap meet, I talked a good bit. Okay. Now, I've been sharing with you, we've been focusing on Colossians chapter 2, 14 to 17. The reason we're focused on this is that it is generally argued, widely argued, that Paul said, "Let no man judge you in respect of new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things that are about to come." And that Paul says that Christ, when he hung on the cross, took out of the way the, quote, ceremonial ordinances of the new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths. He nailed the law, supposedly, that was against us, contrary to us, and he abolished the handwriting of ordinances. Again, that was against us, contrary to us. And so, once again, we are told that Colossians chapter 2, what it actually teaches is that the ceremonial, the sacrificial element of the old law was done away with, but not the seventh-day Sabbath, not the moral laws. And folks, we just absolutely have to keep in mind that the Decalogue was the foundation of the covenant between Yahweh and Israel. While the moral element of God's character was applicable to all nations, pagan nations, and God judged them for violating his moral character, the Sabbath was a distinctive covenant sign. Not only distinctive, but exclusive covenant sign between Yahweh and Israel. He never made that covenant with anyone else. Deuteronomy 27, 1 and 2. Deuteronomy chapter 5, 1 and 2. This is critical that we understand. So anyway, back to Colossians chapter 2. Once again, this is critical. We are told Paul said that Jesus nailed the handwriting of ordinances to the cross. The handwriting of ordinances referred to the ceremonial and the sacrificial element of the law, meaning all of the feast days except the Sabbath, the seventh-day Sabbath, which was the very first of Israel's feast days, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 2. So, please catch the power of this. The question is, did Jesus nail the sacrificial, ceremonial elements of the law to the cross? Well, first thing to notice, and I pointed this out last week, is that the term, the handwriting of ordinances, is from chirographon, literally handwriting. But even as the New American Standard and many other translations render it, it's the handwriting of debt that was incurred through violating the law. Wasn't the law. So Paul, and by the way, there's a fantastic article on my website, donkpreston.com, written by Dr. Dallas Burdett. Let me urge you, let me suggest powerfully that you go to my website, that you, in the search bar, you type in Dallas Burdett or Colossians chapter 2, 14 to 17. Read that article carefully. The point is, Paul was not saying that any element of the law was nailed to the cross. Now, this is devastating to the Sabbatarian argument, who tries to draw a distinction between the seventh-day Sabbath and the ceremonial Sabbaths. In their argument, well, yes, Jesus nailed the sacrificial laws to the cross. He nailed the ceremonial laws to the cross, took them out of the way. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not what the text says. How do I know that? Because when Paul said, let no man judge you in respect of new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths, he immediately says, which are. That is in the present active indicative. They are. That's when Paul wrote in approximately 62 AD. He does not say they were shadows of good things that have already arrived. No. He does not say at all they were shadows of the good things. It's absolutely stunning to me. Scott McKnight, in his otherwise excellent commentary on the book of Colossians, says in regard to the present tenses, when Paul spoke of the new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths, and he said, well, those present tenses are kind of troublesome. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he said, so what many scholars do, because they believe that the law itself was nailed to the cross, they, quote, reimagine, unquote, the Greek tenses. Do you catch what McKnight is saying? McKnight is saying, well, the scholars come along and they have a theological perspective. The law was nailed to the cross. That theological perspective is really challenged by the Greek tenses, which are a shadow of the good things about to come. Future tense. Therefore, these scholars and laymen alike, they, quote, reimagine the Greek tenses. In other words, they alter, they distort, they neglect, and they deny the force of the Greek tenses. Folks, isn't there something wrong when you come to a text and the clear statements of the text challenge and even falsify your perspective? So what do? You change the meaning of the text by distorting the meaning of the words, by changing the definition of the words. Oh, at hand doesn't truly mean imminent. It means spatially close. These things must shortly come to pass means, it doesn't mean it would come to pass quickly, soon, imminently. What that means is that one of these days, by and by, maybe 5 million people, 5 million years. But when the Lord finally gets around to coming, he's going to ride the fastest cloud that he can find to come to earth and destroy the earth. You see what I mean? Theology takes precedent over linguistics. Theology takes precedence over the clear statement of Scripture. Folks, that is not the way to do Bible study. That is eisegesis, not exegesis. Eisegesis, Greek word, means to read into a text what it does not say and what it does not support. Exegesis means to draw out of the text what it actually says. That means that when we come to Colossians chapter 2, and Paul says the new moons, the feast days, and the Sabbath days are present active indicative, a shadow of the good things that are about to come, but the body is Christ, it means that we should not reimagine the Greek tenses. It means that we should make our theology conform to the Greek tenses, and that would mean, number one, that Jesus did not nail the ceremonial feast days of the new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths to the cross. And that would mean that the good things that those feast days foreshadowed had not yet come when Paul wrote in Colossians chapter 2. Now, folks, that's extremely, extremely challenging. So, as I promised last Wednesday, I'm going to show you how, where Paul says the new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths are shadows of the good things about to come, I'm going to show you Tuesday and Wednesday, and probably next week as well, how each one of the three final feast days of Israel, Yom Teruah, otherwise known as Rosh Hashanah, otherwise known as the Feast of Trumpets, and it represented, it symbolized, and it foreshadowed the Day of Judgment. I'm going to show you that from Pentecost onward, the New Testament writers were eagerly awaiting the imminent Day of Judgment. I'm going to show you how Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, was not completed at the cross, but they were still awaiting the arrival of the good things to come foreshadowed by Yom Kippur. And I will show you Sukkot, Feast of Harvest, Feast of Ingatherings, Feast of the Joy of the Nations, lots of different names for these feast days. I'll show you the New Testament writers were eagerly awaiting the imminent fulfillment of those feast days, thus conforming perfectly to the present active indicative of the Greek text, as well as showing the imminent fulfillment of the about to be fulfilled things. Now, in the meantime, to get a head start, take advantage of my April 2024 U.S. orders only, all right, 2-book special. These are the days in which all things must be fulfilled, and the resurrection feast fulfilled. And extensive. As you can see, it's a thick, heavy book. I love these 2 books, okay? Both of these books demonstrate that the typology of the feast days, of the final 3 feast days specifically, was in fact fulfilled in the first century in the fall of Jerusalem. If you purchase these books separately, all right, you'll spend a good bit of money. For the month of April 2024, U.S. orders only, total delivered price $39.95. Delivered to your door, postpaid, no extra charge for shipping. Take advantage of it. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com. Click on the beautiful banner, order the books. You'll be glad you did. Okay, so beginning tomorrow, we're going to look at the fact that beginning at Pentecost, the fulfillment of the final 3 feast days was being anticipated, thus fitting perfectly what Paul said in Colossians 2, that those last 3 feast days were, when he wrote 2,000 years ago, shadows of the good things that were about to come. I'll see you on the flip side.